If poker tournaments are about fame and glory, then cash games are the place where the true poker player earns his crust. They normally work their stealthy magic in the shadows, but not so on our weekly Cash Game TV table, where we aim to uncover the secrets of PKR's top cash game stars. This week's show comes from a $1, $2 session on the 28th of February. Adding his dulcet tones to proceedings is Team PKR Pro, Scott Shelley.
Okay,
1 and 2, and some serious competitors at this table. Team PKR Pro Loco Dice,
Fold.
PKR Live 4 runner-up JJ Bird, also a Player of the Month recently, and Hall of Famer Rockin, to name but 3.
Fold.
Straight off the bat, Loco picks up Kings. Takes some stick for his cash game, but do you think that's just part of being a team pro?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean, I've not played with the guy pretty much at all to say anything about his game. But as far as I know, he can play the game.
Yeah.
He can play the game.
Right.
Exactly.
And I don't think he has a bad attitude, but you never know.
No.
You never know what happens. We're all guilty once or twice of typing a few things in the chat box, but he seems to me a fairly reserved kind of guy.
And I really like him.
Yeah, he
Get along well with him.
doesn't seem to me to be the kind of guy who'd put himself out there to ruffle feathers, but I mean, it's tough up there at the kind of like mid-stakes cash games. They're all playing for themselves, and you know, there's a bit of ego involved. So
Ego's bigger than bankrolls.
yeah, that's the truth. Well, not the greatest flop in the world if you've got kings. Really tough spot. I guess it comes down to stack size.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good turn card.
He has to call and see a turn and kind of reassess. And then he has to check, presumably. So seldom do you see someone in this spot lead the flop, call a raise, and then lead. Wow, he's done it. I find that unusual, but then just because it's unusual doesn't mean it's retarded.
No.
By any means.
This is the river.
Well, there we go. Fantastic turn.
I think he's ruling out King 10 anyway, just because he's got 2 kings.
I think you get raised the turn.
And that will now even more...
Do you think he leads for information on the turn?
A little bit, I mean...
And he stops his opponent checking back.
I kind of... But I think if it's good if your opponent checks back. Just because you've always got the best hand.
Okay. Well...
I bet.
Someone's enjoying their time at the table.
I think he now knows that he could value bet with impunity on the end.
The 6 is the best card in the deck.
Yeah.
Without a fail, it's actually the best card in the deck.
Yeah, I mean, flop turned out horrific, but it only got better from that point onwards. And the lead out worked out really nicely for him. It got him some value and some information. There you are. Don't necessarily assume that you have to go into check call mode once you've called a 3-bet, I guess. Interesting.
I fold.
The rest of them get out of the way. We're approaching the button. Canadian Maxi Dodge, who we've come across a few times, opens with the ace-8. Not a hand you're going to be winning too much with multi-way or on a full ring table. Inevitable 3-bet from Shiphead, who I believe who's actually made it to the PKR Live 6 final table alongside Brother Muzone. Do you remember? Shiphead, I believe, is Mark, the guy who works as in poker journalism.
I know exactly who you mean.
Nice guy.
Yeah, really nice.
Has been to Vegas with us before.
With Dave Woods?
Yep.
Yeah. I know exactly who you mean.
Yeah, and I think he was really pleased to get to that final table.
Is it Mark Stewart? Is it?
I don't know, but sorry, Mark, for for not outing your surname on TV. But nevertheless, I think he did really well to get to that.
He just got absolutely.
Oh, he got we can't say some of the words that. Well, we could bleep them, I suppose.
He got BF'd. Put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, oh dear. Absolute dream for Loco dice.
Bet.
Must be nice being blue, so they say. Although James 66 would have refuted that pretty much every day he logged in.
I think we were going to make his red just for jokes. Always red. Always all in.
Well, the pot is modest considering the two hands we've got here. And that's a river that may well slow down the action. If it hadn't slowed down a bit already.
Yeah, you'd imagine it's going to go
bet call.
Yeah, bet pretty solidly cool. Like 140 maybe.
Yeah, Sasha having a think. What's the
Oh,
right
look at
amount?
that, $2
within two. And,
what blinds are we playing? 1-2?
Yes.
I was in a big blind away.
Right.
A big blind from the bet size.
And Shiphead, well, it's certainly going to...
There it is.
He's going to feel less happy now than he did a moment ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
In a way, he's going to feel like the river saved him from going broke, do you think? Or do you think by that stage the pot was such that they were not going to get it in? There comes a point where
I fold.
I mean, like a deuce on the river and he gets a lot. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Raise.
yeah, well, unfortunately outdraw on the turn.
Fold.
And here goes Rockin'. This could be messy on a raggy flop. Ah, well, they're going to have to pay a little more. Out of position.
deuce 3 king.
Yeah, you don't want two callers. Do you want to take it down here, or do you want to play a pot against one player, even though
What's
you're
the
out of
ace
position?
Oh.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be
Here
too
comes
dissatisfied either way.
right.
Rockin's found the deuce.
Yeah, the question is, does he just get the one C bet? Or, I mean, I see the ace king check a lot here when you're
bet.
playing multi-way. I guess it's kind of dry board.
Yeah, it's the sort of board you really want to see bet. It's not going to hit your opponent too often.
Call.
Just a classic situation. Oh, I was just going to say this. The only way this pot gets disastrous.
A king would have been worse, I think, just because there's like ace jack in Rockin's range and stuff like that.
Okay.
I bet.
And when does he pull the trigger? Oh, I mean, the other guy. I know your fold's
Raise.
not got much back.
All in.
And there it is. They get it
There you
in.
go.
Easy money.
Yeah, there isn't a easier situation in poker than flopping a set because it's just so ridiculously deceptive.
Okay, new hand.
And it happens more than flopping a flush.
Yep.
I'd imagine.
Okay, new hand.
For me, it's no set, no bet.
Well,
Fold.
two Portuguese in our R4 Kettering big time winner. Couple of Germans.
Fold.
One of them PSCom, we'd imagine, would get involved.
Fold.
Passes suited ace.
Someone fresh from the beach.
Yeah, and
Looks a bit like a tone jabber.
he does. Scarily like it.
Does, doesn't it? Like,
And having seen Jabba recently, I can tell you that Jabba has not got any more toned, even though he's been living an outdoor life and digging holes and stuff. Not for the bodies that he puts in the holes, of course.
how is he? Good.
He puts them in the basement. Yeah, yeah, he's good. I'd like to say he misses PKR, but I think
He's quite happy.
he's perfectly happy living the outdoor life and doing the permaculture thing.
Has he still got a prediction on when the world's ending?
Yeah,
I swear it's meant to be by now.
I
If
think it
it's
probably was meant to be by now.
Call.
All right, well,
See what JJ
Here
Bird's
comes
got planned for this
the
hand.
well, there's a bunch of back doors and a couple of overs.
Bet.
4-5 figures is a good chance he's ahead and can end the hand right here. I can feel a raise
Here's
coming.
the
Oh
turn
no, I
card.
just
Just throw it in your bones.
yeah, I kind of did, but no, it's not happening. Well, it gets easier for him. A blank there, and it would have been difficult to keep firing into JJ.
I bet.
503 behind for Maxi Dodge. The question after floating the flop is, what do you do on the turn?
I mean, I guess he had like plans more worked out for like a heart, or if he
I mean, it hasn't got any better for him. Situation's exactly the same. There was the plan. Unfortunately, wrong time. Question now for Maxi Dodge is, what is making that move? Do I get paid off if I get it in here? Or should I call and let him stack off?
Ooh.
Yeah, well, that's not great.
JJ has a wheel.
Check.
Yeah, he does, and it's a horrible card in many ways for Maxi Dodge. He's got a pop bet behind, but it feels unlikely you're going to get paid off for a pop bet, especially as you haven't got the flush. Goes for 2/3, and can Maxi Dodge get away from the hand? The way it's played out, you wouldn't be surprised if he can get away here.
Nah. I mean, it's hard to think of what he can be beating. I mean, a 9 probably checks back on the river just to...
And something like 2 pair that's worse than
It's only,
like
it's only
5
two,
deuce.
5 deuce, 5-3.
Is not going to play. Is not going to put
Or
205 in
4-3,
on the end. Yeah, and he gets away, and he played nice there. He got the money in when he was ahead and got away when he was behind. And JJ floats the flop, which is fine. Raises the turn, which is kind of funky and fine, and gets bailed out on the river.
I raise.
2's under the gun makes it 6.
Call.
Rocker, no surprise, always believes he can win the hand post flop. Flats from the 2 seat.
Fold.
Shiphead going to get involved here with the 2 8s?
Yeah.
I fold.
Fold. I fold.
And, he'll be
Here
pleased,
comes
actually, to
the flop.
have ultimate position.
Yeah, it's not a bad flop for his hand. It's one of the better ones that doesn't include an 8.
Yeah, that's right. And Rockham will feel like with a gut shot and 2 overs, even though we know that 2 of them are dead, he can go ahead and bet this. Position, and you've got an open-ender, and of course you're up against an aggressive opponent. All means that you can at least call.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the turn card.
Yeah, and rocking down to 5%. That's never stopped him.
Check.
And he slows it down.
Well, I mean, as it's a 1 card straight, he's only going to get like a bunch of action from hands that he's going to be in bad shape against.
I bet.
I guess he's looking to check call and reevaluate the river. Hopefully ping an 8.
Yeah, he might even get away. I wouldn't be
comes the
surprised. Ooh.
Check.
Still think it's check call. Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, does he go? He's got 2, 3, 5. Interesting.
Piled a lot in.
Interesting if he piled a lot in. Yeah, I mean, it'd be a tricky spot if he had piled a lot. And this one's easy now.
There you go.
Yeah, Rockin, you can just do that. But do you see that having with the speed that he made the call and the ease that he made the call and the fact that he had the 10? Do you look at that and think maybe 52 was not much of a bet, or do you think that forget results orientated and that you have the 10?
I mean,
A bunch of the hands I'm going to be up against there.
The bet
I'm not
size
going to
was-
call that much.
yeah, the
more.
bet size was always getting called. I mean, the only thing I liked about maybe betting bigger is just because of a busted flush draws there. It's a 1 card straight board where you could be bluffing a bunch. The 10's pen at the end, so I would have probably gone for a lot more.
Yeah,
personally, just because of the situational. But he's gone for a bet where he thinks he's getting called by the whole of Rockin's range,
right.
which he is.
So more like it's better to be guaranteed.
He's
to get
guaranteed
paid off
himself
a small
50
amount
bucks
rather than
risking going for
occasionally
the lot.
getting-
Yeah.
Right.
Like Rockin needs to have certain hands in his range to call
Yeah,
a big bet.
and in the long run, the question is which one's going to make you more money. It's kind of tricky to decide whether you go for the occasional bigger
Yeah, I mean,
payoff.
it is. I mean,
Don't know.
once you get to know your players, though, you should be able to understand what you can be doing to get
Okay.
maximum value.
Yeah. Well, JJ's got it here, and a big re-raise from big time winner. I guess him being out of position means that you need to increase that raise
There
size.
was a call in between, so
Right.
I think it's pretty normal sizing.
Yeah, not much behind. I can see this going in. Is it a mistake to get 30 in and pass for 68?
Oh yeah,
All in.
And there we go.
very much a mistake.
There you go.
Let's see if something happens here. Not
9-10.
much. No. And this one's going to
This
go JJ's
is the
way.
river.
And the session going okay for him and Loco.
New hand.
Not much play left here.
Okay.
And
new
with this
hand.
lineup, there's a chance for someone to do something.
I fold.
Barbarella
I fold.
opens with a very nice looking hand.
Slasher up to something here.
No, it's way too early
Fold.
position.
Fold.
Big time winner.
I fold.
Out of the way, and his countryman too.
Fold. I fold.
Rocking with a virtual monster for this man. He loves it.
Fold.
In, out of position, it don't matter.
Here comes the
Yum,
flop.
yum, yum, yum.
All right. Well, is he going to
Check.
play it fast?
Bet.
I guess if there was a
I
spade on the board, he might be. Every little extra bit of equity might persuade him to play it fast.
I
And
think he might play it fast because of stack sizes. The other person's got Barbarella's only got about 60, 70 bucks.
Okay, so commit
So he's
yourself
committing
here.
himself just
Yeah.
to give it a spin.
No point calling, seeing like
I'm
a
all in.
total
Yeah.
brick, and then
You might as well see
thinking,
both cards here.
Here
Yeah.
we go.
Turn.
Oh,
oh,
easy does it.
Here comes the
Easy
river.
game.
yeah, fair enough. And I suppose that's the point, isn't it? Better to, if you're going to pay a certain amount, better to see both cards.
Yeah.
Oh my
Unlucky.
god.
Oh yeah.
Fold.
Little reload there.
I thought the aces folded there. I was like, what?
Fold.
Fold.
I'd quite like to see aces fold at some point post-flop here. If they get into big trouble and make a great fold. Hard to see, though. You've got to be deep stacked and the board's got to run out nasty. And you've got to have kind of a good read on your opponent.
I call.
Tens flats, liable to bring in people behind,
Fold.
something the aces
Fold.
is not going to be too pleased about. Rockham would love this spot with a huge range of hands on the
Oops,
button,
not the
three-way,
king
but
seven off.
not the king seven.
I think maybe if it was suited, he might have speculated.
Yep.
Here comes the flop.
Oh, tens are going to lose some here.
Yeah. Well, what are the effective stacks? 4-8-6 for the aces, 4-9-4. Wow, so big.
Call.
Tens decides to call.
I'm gonna check.
Aces
That
traps.
call.
Here comes the river.
Wow, they're not going to get it in. The pot size is $70, Scott.
That.
How is?
I call. There you go.
How did it go that way? I'm
I
absolutely.
don't know. I mean, it could be a case of they're both deep and the aces are just worried about being up against a flop set, but then the board pairs on the river, so that takes
Wow.
out one of the possible sets.
Yeah,
It's sort of like
I just.
I would have loved them to check raise the river there with the aces.
Right. Well, the amount of times we're going to see that on Cash Game TV is
I think that was like
close
pretty
to
decent.
zilch.
Yeah.
But I just figure a lot of the time when you overcomplicate poker is when you get into trouble or you lose the value. A lot like golf, once you go back to basics and play things simply is when you have success. And in that situation, I'm guessing what you should be thinking is 3 streets of value. Until I hear otherwise,
Yeah.
let's just go for 3
I mean,
streets
the
of
board
value.
started to run off a bit weird where it came at 9, 8, 3,
turn.
and then a 6. But then the 3 on the river is like the
Yeah,
absolute
but
gin card.
we're only saying it looks a little weird because you know what can happen sometimes.
No,
but
but
someone's got to flop a set or something.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. When the 3 pairs on the river, not only does it take really pretty much rule out pocket threes, but you can also beat 9, 8, 9, 6, 6, 8 now.
Yeah.
You got your hand is like the nuts here, I think, the way it's played out.
Yeah, real loss of value there.
I mean, I could be wrong and the guy's turned a straight and then you check raise the river and he jams it in your eye
Right.
and you're like, what have I done?
yeah.
But I just think it would have been a nice spot to find some value.
But, as we say time and again, tournaments are the kind of place where we can forgive people to
I call.
play a little bit conservative because you're protecting your tournament life. Cash games, you've got to make the most money in the short time available.
Check.
Well, 2 pair against 2 pair. One outdraws the other, then the other redraws. Question is how much? Pot's 155, twice the size of the aces against tens. And it's a pretty strange looking board if you, well, there's no way that Rock can
Yeah.
go for greater value.
I was about to say that's going to be ridiculously thin to try and raise there.
Oh my god.
And that's another thing we don't see too often is thin
Okay, new
value
hand.
bets. And
I mean, you see
Thin
thin value bets, but you
raises.
don't see thin raises
Right.
nowhere near as much.
Right.
Yeah.
And, that's what you were talking about earlier, the balance
Fold. Fold.
between being greedy and going for the most and risking and being
Oh,
too greedy.
Been joined by another reg. So, oh my god.
All right.
I fold.
Fold.
I fold.
On to Loco, who's had a solid session.
Yeah, you can never see him passing the ace-8 of diamonds on the cutoff there.
Fold.
Bet you wish he has though.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah, I mean,
It depends how big the 3-bet's going to be here, I suppose.
I'm raising.
pretty big. 4x.
It is, and well, it doesn't look like it's going to be Loco's hand.
I call.
Well, I suppose that brings him into the equation now. You know, at least you've got to be careful flopping an ace
Let's see the
or an
flop.
8. I guess he's still
Yeah,
unless the action leads him to believe that
Yeah,
it's
it would-
worth either trying to outdraw on the turn cheaply or that his 8's good, then he's not going to get too heavily involved. The
Okay, let's
Jacks
do
is
it.
in a tricky spot because they're in between two players.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't define his hand so much by just flatting pre.
In which case you play it a little more conservatively
Yeah, I
post-flop.
think I'd always 4-bet it there just because it's gone open from the cutoff. Small blinds 3-bet.
And I know people are worried about jacks, but there's a million hands
Yeah.
that you can get value from when you have jacks that
Yeah.
will still call your 4-bet.
Snasher? Sasha snap.
Smasher. That's what.
Sasha.
Smasher.
Snap fold the 8 as he should.
Yeah, quite
When he went
right.
Bet call.
Yeah, and the thing about jacks, and the flip side of what you were just saying, is if you do play it conservatively pre-flop and don't really get any information, you shouldn't really be putting in too much
Yeah,
money.
I feel like you're
post-flop.
set mining when he flats there. Just
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's just, yeah, I mean, he's made a good fold in the end.
Well, he had
but
to know. I guess you
Yeah.
might as well just make sure by
Yeah, I mean,
flatting the flop.
if he's going to play it that way, then I'm glad he folded there and not just check call sort of thing.
Yeah, well, a curious one to end with, but I guess 3-way, and perhaps there was something about being in there with the Team Pro as well that
Yeah.
perhaps he
Fold.
Fold.
preferred to go down that route.
I fold.
Barbarella, fine-looking lady. Played one, lost one,
I
and doesn't get involved. Last hand of the session. People will be desperate to get involved, but these raggy hands won't help. PS.com, well,
That's an open.
I fold.
I raise.
yeah, it sure is.
That's not a fold.
I call.
Neither's that.
And
Oh.
the call, or I mean, you could still.
Could
There's
have
nothing wrong
been.
with that.
Wow.
Oh my
Is that
word.
2 per V flush V straight? I mean V set.
Top 2 versus bottom set versus second nuts.
Oh
Magnificent.
my god.
Yeah, but they're pretty deep, and I tell you what, this turn's going to play a huge part.
I just want to see them all get it in now.
They're never going to get it in now. Not
They
in a
might.
not in a million
Fran's
years.
got this.
You
Oh.
really think top 2? Yeah, I think top 2 is obviously the least likely to get it in for
Bet.
what is it?
Yeah,
400.
I would
big
imagine they're the
blinds.
most experienced cash game player as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
Also, you're not going to be that happy given
look,
that there's a straight.
the
straight
eights are going to raise here.
eights-
The Queen 9 might come
I
over
don't
the top.
think the 8s are going to raise here. I don't think it. I don't think.
All in.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Look, the Queen 9 now can't fold. Surely they can't fold for that jam. They're getting it in.
and it's the last hand of
They're
the session.
getting it in. Everyone's getting it
Oh,
in. I told you. Everyone's getting it in. Everyone's getting it in. He's
What?
Oh my god.
Was that a knit roll? It was
Nah,
just the
I don't-
smallest knit roll.
This is
Oh, and
Oh,
it
it
holds. no
Everyone's
queens,
getting
no
it in.
nines. What a sit count to finish the session. And, well, I guess the 8s can feel a little aggrieved there. Well, the award for the winningest player goes to R4 Keta, $300 up.
At the other end of the leaderboard, it's $400 down and the wooden spoon for I Know You Fold. A couple of hands to talk about. The 6 setup with the bottom set, top 2, and the second nut flush on the flop. Everyone's getting it in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a TV table, so players are going to be quite loose anyway, and when you see that sort of flop, they're all getting it in and spinning the wheel.
And the other hand, aces versus 10s on a 9-high flop. A million times that's going to go in. Why did it not go in on the flop? Why did it not go in on the turn? The aces just decided that he didn't want to get 3 streets of value there.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a confusing one. The board was pretty safe, to be fair, and they should have been looking for a lot more value than they did, but I guess tight is right.
Yeah, well, you can't lose what you don't put in the middle,
Exactly.
as Mike McD once said. Strange one, maybe there was a case of monsters under the bed, or he'd taken a couple of beats with aces recently and that had affected him. But anyway, an interesting session. That's all from me and Scott. See you next time.